piston engine looks straight from my oil pressure. We got that. It's already warm, so we don't have to do any warm-up for oil temperatures or anything like that. Just so you know, this thing has been running in the amber range around 220, staying out of the red. So if you see that, don't freak out. The water temperatures stayed pretty good, but just these things, just prolonged periods of time in the summertime, trying to hover around and stuff, they just stay hot. You just can't cool them down. That's why people, if you're out flying around, they'll cool down. But the problem is, it's just there's no airflow back there. So. Alrighty, so with that said, we'll do a systems check. So we check each fuel pump, we turn it off over your right toe. If you see on that, kind of by the pedals, there's some fuel gauge pressure. That goes down and up.
Yep.
Goes down and then back up.
Okay.
Okay, ignition. So we're turning off one set of spark plugs like you're kind of doing your mag check. And the engine still runs.
Good.
So that's good. You get a warning light that tells you, hey, half of the plugs aren't working. Alright, this is where we're going to do an ECU flip. You'll notice the RPM changed because now one of the computers is off. And we're going to turn the second one off, and then it's going to switch back to the primary.
Nice.
So let me turn that off and then back on because I hit the ignition as well. So you can see it's got redundancy for the computers. We want to see 2 green lights. And it'll throw an error code and it'll tell you like, hey, it's a water sensor or low battery power or something. It'll give you like crank sensor errors, and it has codes there that you can go through, cycle through the little digital computer there.
Wow, that's
and tell you what's what. Yeah, so that's good for troubleshooting because a lot of the parts are just like automotive. So a lot of things you can get like, temperature probes and oil filters from the automotive store. So pretty cool.
Okay.
All right, so one of the other things we're going to check here before we take off, we're going to roll our throttle up. I'm doing that on the collective grip. Just rolling it up, thumbs up to roll up like a motorcycle grip. Nice and slow, you can feel me doing that. I'm looking for 100% on the rotor. The engine drives the rotor. And we're going to do what we call splitting the needles and checking our sprag clutch. We have a freewheeling unit on the drive system that'll disengage when we roll the throttle to idle. We want to see the engine come down rapidly and the rotor come down slow. So I'm looking at the rotor and the engine, rolling the throttle down. See how the engine came down fast and the rotor came down nice and slow. The sprag clutch disengaged and became freewheeling. This is what's going to save our life if we had to do an auto rotation.
Oh, so they still
spin up. They're not directly connected, hard connected to the engine. Otherwise, you'd just fall out of the sky. The rotor blades would stop if you had a sudden stoppage. So with the sudden stoppage of the engines, we would lower the collective grip to reduce the drag on the rotor system, and then we go into a glide, exchanging potential energy of altitude and airspeed for kinetic energy for rotor RPM to safely land back down on the ground. So physics, energy management.
Physics, indeed. Okay.
Yep, exactly. All right, so for takeoff checklist, we're looking for, I got 2 ECU green lights. My rotor is about 100% RPM. I'm looking at my temperatures and pressures across the board. Fuel, I'm doing by time. I got 10 gallons, so that gives me an hour of playtime. We'll clear right, center, and left. Make sure I can hear them. Alrighty. Then I'm going to slowly pull up on the collective. We have to counteract the main rotor torque because the nose is going to want to go left if I didn't have a tail rotor by applying some right pedal pressure. And then as she starts to get light, I'll kind of wiggle the cyclic a little bit to feel what the controls are doing.
Yep.
And then as she gets ready to come off, we just come gently up into the air.
Okay.
So now I gotta manage the throttle to keep it below 104% on the engine, but keep it above 100%. So I'm modulating the throttle as required to keep the rotor between 100 and 104%. So, and we're about 6 inches off the ground. Tail's clear right, nose is coming left. And you're definitely a lighter passenger, so that's good. So we got a little bit of power margin. We're going to bring it over to the taxiway here. Temperatures, pressures, everything's looking good. Laconia traffic, helicopter 212 Charlie Victor going to be taking off Charlie taxiway, runway 26 direction. Right traffic for runway 26 Laconia. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and just take off here. We're just going to tilt that nose down, not going to add any collective. We're going to get through something called effective translational lift, where the rotor system is working in clean, undisturbed air.
Ah, yes.
It's not re-ingesting its vortices.
Right.
So now,
So you were just pushing forward on the...
Just pushing forward on the cyclic, didn't even have to add any collective. And now I'm just going to accelerate in airspeed, keeping the collective fixed. 65 miles per hour is your best rate of climb. Like your VY in an airplane.
Okay.
And the collective stays where it's at. Pedals for trim, I got a yaw string there.
Is this like step on the ball?
Yep, step on a ball. So, well, not quite. That's too much right pedal, so I got to put left pedal to straighten it, or too much left pedal, right pedal to straighten it. So not quite.
Okay.
Actually, I don't even do that. I just feel the wind. If I hear your microphone going off, I know I need left or right pedal. So I'm going to get up to 1,200 feet or so, and then I'm going to give you the cyclic control.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you kind of fly at altitude, because this will come natural to you. Once you're at altitude, you're just pitching to maintain your altitude by looking at your altimeter. So
okay.
Expedite the climb up here, get some airspeed, nose her over. So you see your rotor disc up there, and then once you're at your cruise speed, that's at your cruise power, we'll do 1,100 feet.
Okay.
We're going to start rolling the throttle down, getting into that cruise power, 25 inches, in this case about 4 inches less than what we were hovering at. So I'm rolling the throttle, adding the collective. Getting that cruise power set, just like you're setting your RPM and your prop or your throttle on a fixed wing.
Okay.
So we're going to do 25 inches, which I set with the collective, and then the throttle on the engine RPM is with the throttle. All right, so 1,100 feet, you have the cyclic stick, so put your hand on there.
Cyclic.
I just want you to pitch, fly straight ahead, and try to maintain 1,100 feet. Get a feel for it, because it's a little sloppy. It's a little delay control input to it.
Okay.
But the less you move it, the better. And as you come along the shoreline, I just want you to give me a gentle left turn and
okay.
clear left when you're ready. And just follow that shoreline around to the left. See how the nose starts dipping? So a little aft cyclic and then a little forward cyclic. Because as your airspeed increases,
oh, okay. Yep.
the nose is going to want to go up. So you have to counteract it with cyclic control. Yeah, it's a little goofy, right? See?
So I've dropped a little.
And so there's just a little aft cyclic stick. Hold it there for a second. And the whole idea is we really just try to keep the nose level when you're flying at altitude in a helicopter. Because anytime the nose goes down, it accelerates, or the nose goes up, it decelerates.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. And then keep that left turn coming around. We're going to circle back around towards the airport.
Okay.
And you can set us up for like a right downwind for 2-6.
Okay.
Hold the nose up a little bit, and we're going to start climbing up a little bit here.
Okay.
Get that climb attitude. Right about here is a good climb attitude if you look outside. And then as you start coming in a little bit closer, we'll set up for that left turn for a nice right downwind. So you can see, like, it's a little sloppy, right? You know,
okay.
It's like you have to anticipate before it even happens.
Yep.
There you go. We'll go up to 1,500 feet, about 1,000 feet AGL for a practice auto rotation. Laconia traffic, helicopter 212 Charlie Victor, right downwind runway 26 Laconia. All right, I have all controls.
Okay, you have controls?
I have all flight controls. Alrighty. So, auto rotation, we're basically trading potential energy of altitude and airspeed to maintain a rotor RPM at about 100%, which is 520 RPMs. So we'll trade that energy by lowering the collective all the way down and reducing the induced drag on it. And then we're going to be coming down, kind of, you're going to feel that like light butt, you know, light feeling.
Sure.
And then we're going to adjust our glide for about 70 miles an hour indicated airspeed. So it'll be down collective, left pedal because the tail rotor will be offloaded, and then some aft cyclic to keep the nose from diving down.
Okay.
So I tell people this is what's going to save your life one day. I've probably done 1,000 auto rotations over my years of flying, so you'll get really good at this eventually.
Okay.
Laconia traffic, helicopter 212 Charlie Victor, high final, runway 27. We're going to be midfield for practice auto rotation, Laconia. All right, so we keep driving it down towards the middle of the runway there. 1,600 is even better. Airspeed's good. Temperatures, pressures, all switches, everything's looking good. Winds are coming straight ahead. little bit more. Alrighty, we'll count down. 3, 2, 1, down collective, left pedal, aft cyclic. Engine is at idle now. And now we can control the rotor RPM with the collective lever. If it gets too slow, I lower the collective. If the rotor gets too fast, I can raise the collective. So we're pitching for approximately 70 miles an hour.
Wow.
And this is the glide. This is how it would be in an actual auto rotation.
Not at all what I thought it would be like.
And then at the bottom, I'll start bringing the throttle up. I'm going to do a cyclic flare. Level. And the throttle comes back on. And if you needed to, I mean, you would level and then touch down and use the energy and slide to the runway. But obviously we don't want to do that because we don't want to damage our skids.
Right.
So in real life, we could do it if it was a real emergency.
Okay.
So that's the biggest maneuver right there. People would freak out. What are you going to do? That's what it is. It's not really that big of a deal. It will become second nature with lots of training and lots of practice that, you know, if you lose the engine, no big deal. It's not the end of the world. Laconia traffic, helicopter 212 Charlie Victor. We're going to be clearing runway 26 into the side on the north side of runway 26, Laconia. Alrighty, we'll bring you over here and we're going to try the also challenging hovering.
Hover.
So we're going to do one control at a time. You got introduced to the cyclic control. So you know the cyclic controls are pitch, a roll. The collective is our up and down. And then the anti-torque pedals is our yaw left and right. Throttle, obviously for the RPM, which is something new. That's the hardest thing for a lot of new pilots to learn is how the throttle and the collective relate to each other for rotor RPM. So since you're so light, with me being about 215 pounds, we have a pretty good power margin. And what that means is I don't have to be down at 6 inches with full throttle to maintain 100%. We can actually come up a little bit more vertical before the rotor starts getting below 100%.
Okay.
With me and Karl, we can't do this. So what happens is the rotor gets below 100%, and then I have to get closer to the ground to reduce the induced drag on the rotor system, and then get the rotor back up, or even sometimes touch the skid down to build the rotor up.
Wow.
So in this case, we don't have to do that today. So we're going to start with the easiest control, which is your anti-torque pedals. Okay. You see that taxi light, 12 o'clock there, that blue one?
Yep.
I want you to go ahead and put your feet on the pedals. Okay. And what you're going to do is just pressure counter pressures. You're going to maintain the nose of the helicopter at that taxi light. You have the pedals. So push in on the right. If you find that it's hard to move the pedals, just relax the left foot. A lot of people lock up their left foot and they just can't push that right pedal in like it needs to be. All right, now pushing that right pedal, let's do a 90 degree to the right, and we're going to point towards the hangar where we took off from. There you go, right there, hold that. And then just relax that right pressure and let her come back to the taxi light.
Okay.
There you go. And now, let her come over to the water tower off your left shoulder there and let her point at the water tower. There you go, and pressure to hold it. Good, very good. All right, let's push it back towards the taxi light. You're clear to the right, tail clear left. Excellent, good job. All right, I have the pedals.
Okay, you have the pedals.
All right, the next hardest control is the collective lever. So take your left hand and put it on the lever there. I want you to feel that. So if we need to go up a little bit, it's just a little upwards pressure. We go up. If we need to go down, just relax that pressure. I barely have to move that collective lever to go up or down. Notice how light that pressure is that you need to apply.
And are you bracing your hand against your leg?
I am to fine tune it. You'll see that I kind of brace my thumb, and then I can use my fingers to fine tune it, just like this. So if that works for you, you have the collective. I'm going to be lightly there. Look outside, use your peripherals to see your skid height, but that's not too hard to use. And then you typically with the throttle, think of rolling it thumbs up. So what I want you to do is just slightly roll the throttle up a little bit, just ever so slightly. There you go. Notice how we start going up and you didn't move the collective?
Yeah.
You know what the lift equation is, right? Velocity squared or coefficient of lift. So the collective is the coefficient of lift up and down. The throttle is increasing the rotor RPM for velocity squared. So you can actually increase the rotor RPM and start climbing up because you're increasing the lift by increasing the rotor RPM. Or increase the angle of attack with the collective lever, and then you can go up and down.
Okay.
So you're changing the two sides of the lift equation that way.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, this is so much physics. Brain
Yep.
is so happy. Okay.
That's good. I got all controls.
Alright, you have controls?
Here's the hardest one. So I want you to look at where my hand's at. Relaxing your forearm on your thigh, your right thigh.
Okay.
Keeping it low, your hand low on the cyclic grip. You're going to kind of rest your arm there so you can make these fine inputs. So what I'm looking at as I look at that taxi light, I'm looking at the cabin position. So if the nose starts dipping forward, I need a little aft cyclic, and then I need to bring it back and find where that neutral spot is. So everything comes back to what I feel is neutral. So if I start drifting to the right, I need to go left and then back to that neutral position. If I'm going aft, I need to go forward and then back to the neutral position and find it. So it's small little inputs, because if you have big deviations, then you can do what's called stirring the pot or bucking the bronco and doing all this stuff. So the less you move it, the better.
Okay.
So you have the cyclic stick, and I'm with you. A little aft pressure now, a little forward pressure.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, you got it.
I need a little help here.
You got it. I'll help you out, but you're still flying.
Okay.
Counterintuitive, right? You're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
But I get that it's like you turn and then you unturn is what I
Yeah.
tell my students. Oh boy.
Yeah, you're still flying.
Trying to fly and talk.
This is the best part of the job, is teaching somebody how to hover. After you spent, 10, 15 hours with them to have them master it.
Oh, wow.
Don't feel bad. On average, it takes about 10 to 15 hours to master hovering.
We're going 5 miles to the southwest, inbound 45, left downwind 26, Laconia.
Forward and then back to neutral. So the quicker you are to stop the deviation before it starts oscillating out of control, the quicker it is to recover.
Okay. My brain understands that. I can't get my
Yep,
cooperate.
it takes time to wire the brain to figure it out. So you're not going to get it in 2 minutes, trust me. Nobody does. The best students I've had picked it up after an hour or two.
Okay.
I have all controls.
Good controls?
Have controls. Go clear there. But you can really, really jockey these things around. So that's good. Karl's rolling back up, so we'll go ahead and bring it back. But
Great.
Good introduction for you.
This was wonderful.
If you ever find yourself back in Titusville, I got a certified helicopter. I do flight training for guys down there. So
Oh,
if you ever want to do any more time with me down there,
sure.
more than happy to take you up.
What do you have down there?
I got a Hughes 269.
Okay.
It's like a Schweitzer 300. That was the predecessor to it. There we go. And we ran about 16 minutes, so that gives us about 40 minutes, 40 minutes of play time. Good. Cool.
It was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, my
I appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Yeah, so hopefully things work out for you. If you need help or whatever. I know there's we're hiring guys with 1,500 hours.